My first love ghosted me twice, then left me humiliated after I waited 2 hours for closure. All I wanted was 5 minutes to say goodbye. You want to marry someone who doesn't love you? He insisted, leaving me shattered. How do I move on from this? Okay, so I am not the best at storytelling, but this was my first genuine breakup and my first real relationship as well. I believe we were together for approximately 9 months. We started dating around June or July. We began communicating in June, but I ended up ghosting him the day we were supposed to meet. I texted him later during the holidays to apologize, but by then he was already involved with someone else, so we parted ways. One day in July, he messaged me, "Hey, are you alive?" We started talking again, and he proposed we go out the next day, to which I agreed. Perhaps I should have noticed the signs then. We went on our first date the following day. It was the first time I stayed out that late. Until 11 p.m. we didn't go anywhere special. We simply walked around a somewhat mall-like place, sat down, and had Shake Shack. We conversed and it felt sweet. We spoke the same language but in different dialects. It was laid back. The next day we hung out again near the aquarium. We walked and talked. I was excited. Everything felt new. Then came the third date. I suggested an escape room. We didn't make it through, but it was enjoyable. We were both competitive, which was rather cute. I outsmarted him a bit and he kept saying, "You are really intelligent." Afterward, we were in the car and he suggested, "Let's go to my place." I didn't feel pressured. Maybe deep down I wanted to go, so I said yes. Things happened not as he intended and it was awkward. However, after that, most of our hangouts turned into the same routine: his house, a meal, and then intercourse. That was it. It started to seem like that was all he wanted and I hated it. It was my first relationship, and I wanted more: to engage in activities, go out and create memories. From my perspective, it merely felt like I was becoming a convenience. Then he began to distance himself. Not necessarily mean, just cold, fewer texts, fewer calls. I still tried to reach out. Then one day he deleted everything, all his social media, Instagram, everything. Even when we did text, he appeared distant. I would ask him to hang out and he would respond with things like, "I am just not feeling well." So I told him, "If you want to break up, you can just tell me." He said he was going through some things and needed space. I replied that I understood. I gave him space for about 2 or 3 weeks. I reached out a few times because I couldn't help myself. Then he texted me wanting to talk and meet up. I was anxious but agreed. We met up after school. I even brought my friend and introduced them. She waited while we talked for hours, about 5 or 6. We shared everything. Perhaps that was my first significant mistake, allowing him back in. That was probably the first and last time he ever truly chased me. He even joked, "I wanted to bring you flowers," and I got mad. I thought, don't let my first flowers be apology flowers. Yet part of me still wanted them. He mentioned something vague about a medical issue, but to this day I still do not know what it was. Something occurred, he went to the doctor, and it turned out fine, I suppose. And we got back together. We had a proper date, our first in ages. No sex, just dinner, seafood, and a walk by the aquarium. It felt special. He paid and I treated us to dessert afterward at a small cafe. I enjoyed that evening. Then I said something incredibly foolish. I told him I had found his ex-fiancée. I still loathe myself for mentioning that. He is not from here and technically neither am I. I have citizenship now, but that is another story. Back home, he used to be engaged to a distant family member. He had told me about her and how they had been together for 5 years. He had asked me not to seek her out, but I was curious. I promised I wouldn't, but I did anyway. After giving me her first name and recalling the last time I searched for her, I couldn't find her at first, so I gave up. Later, by chance, I found her on Facebook, and I informed him. I do not know why I did that. That might have been in October. That was likely our last genuine date. After that, the old cycle returned: sex and dinner. But at least we went out to eat this time. He was nice sometimes. For instance, when my father was in the hospital and I asked him to hang out, he came. We had dessert and went for a walk. That meant something. His birthday was in November. He turned 29. Yes, there is a significant age gap between us. We definitely had our differences, big ones. I still remember the irony and how it all began. I was preparing his birthday gift. It was going to be the first real one I ever gave him, and I had no idea what to get. I noticed he always wore these red Jordan shoes. I wasn't even sure what they were, but he said he liked them. So I thought maybe I could get him a newer version that had just come out, something similar in blue. They looked nice. I also began collecting his favorite drinks for this little box I was assembling. I included a handmade card. I really put in the effort. I recall one day when he picked me up after an event. It was the first time I had ever asked him to pick me up, something out of the ordinary for me. I was excited yet nervous too. My friend was with me and it was around 10 p.m. after a club activity. He picked us up and I was thrilled. That was when I discovered he liked romantic gestures, thoughtful gifts, but then it kind of got ruined. He parked next to the supermarket and we ended up. Well, I know how that sounds. I didn't genuinely want to, but I went along with it anyway. I was disappointed. I didn't expect things to turn out that way. Maybe I misled him in the conversation. The gift ended up being late. I didn't give it to him on his actual birthday. But I had already prepared everything: the shoes, the card, the drinks. I knew he didn't celebrate birthdays much and I understood that, but I still wanted to make an effort. We had plans, we had discussed going bowling, or at least I thought we had. I booked everything and made arrangements. Then I went to take a shower and switched my phone to airplane mode so I wouldn't receive calls, hoping my mother wouldn't see who it was. Then he thought I blocked him. I understand, I had blocked him once before we started dating. It was immature and I promised I wouldn't do it again. This time it was simply airplane mode. He ended up blocking me. I called repeatedly and even texted from my mother's number, but he didn't answer. The following day was his birthday and I didn't want to leave things that way. I wanted him to know I cared. So I got the cake, the presents, and stood in front of his house calling him repeatedly until he finally picked up. I had to use that code, was it 67, 76, just so he would answer. When he finally did, he returned home. I didn't want him to feel guilty, but I still ended up going in and we ended up being intimate again. I know how that sounds. I didn't even want to, but I did. He felt truly sorry and kept apologizing. There is this picture I took while waiting outside his house. I look so angry and disappointed in it. Every time I look back at that photo, it reminds me of that moment so vividly. That might have been the start of the downfall. Later, I got him another gift. I went lingerie shopping, which was way outside my comfort zone. I don't wear makeup or what he typically described as appealing, but I still did it for him. I remember how happy he was when he received it, and that made me happy too. I also bought one of those light-up photo lamps from Amazon, the kind that illuminates a picture. It was of us and it stated, "I love you." Additionally, I got one of those Lego heart keychains. I really made an effort. We never got to do what I had initially planned for his birthday. It passed, and I guess I passed with it. Then came my birthday. That day stung. I remember waking up and getting all dressed up. I had no plans besides seeing him. My friends were working and I was going to see another friend the following day. It was just going to be him, but he picked me up 2 or 3 hours late. I didn't say anything. My mother kept asking when my friend was arriving and I had to make up excuses. No one knew about our relationship. My mother didn't and his family didn't either. Only one of my friends was aware. It felt as though we were living in secrecy, but he did show up. He brought me a cake from the same place I had bought his. Mine was simply larger, which I always found amusing. He also gave me a necklace that I truly loved and a perfume, probably the most expensive one I have ever owned. I genuinely appreciated that. He also bought us a statue of 2 faceless individuals embracing. While it wasn't exactly us, it meant something to me. And then we did what we always did, the thing we always resorted to. I initiated at that time, I acknowledged that. It became a pattern. In the middle of it, he mentioned he had forgot to buy us flowers. He had told me he was a virgin when we met. Where he is from, sex isn't really accepted like that. He claimed he had done some things before, but nothing serious. Maybe we were merely hypersexual together, perhaps we relied on that too much. Then we had a discussion about the future. He wants to move back home and I do too eventually. But not now. I am only 20, he is 29. I still want to live here, take care of my parents and give back. I informed him I would be open to moving to his country even if I would be alone, but just not right now. I remember thinking, why are we having this conversation on my birthday? It ruined the day. I gave him the silent treatment in the car, just staring out the window. He attempted to converse with me, lighten the mood, but I couldn't, although I opened up by the end. As I exited, I said something. I am unsure if he remembers, but I mentioned, I don't know if you recall what we said we wouldn't do today. That was the last thing I said to him. We had an argument. I was like, it's my birthday and I don't want to have sex, so we met on the weekend to avoid it on my day. We texted a bit that night, but something had already shifted. He sent me a lengthy message that felt like a breakup. It was something along the lines of, we want different things, you scare me away. I just remember thinking, really, not this again. It was our second significant breakup and it was so frustrating. I felt utterly pathetic, crying and pleading, calling him from my mother's phone, from my own, anything just to reach him. But when he decided to end our relationship, he blocked me on everything. I was left contemplating, how am I supposed to contact you? Honestly, that whole time is a blur. It was such a chaotic mess. Eventually, after much pleading, I managed to get him on the phone. That call felt like a threat, as if everything depended on it. Deep down, I believe I already knew I should have let him go. But I didn't want to. I just wanted a boyfriend, someone who cared about me. Maybe that's messed up, or perhaps there is something deeper behind it. I am unsure. I ended up lying. I told him I could envision myself moving back to his country one day, raising our children there and making sacrifices. I even suggested that perhaps in 3 or 4 years we could settle down. He spoke about our relationship being serious and about marriage. Regardless of whether he was being honest or not, I wanted to believe him. I shared my aspirations of finishing school, buying a house with my own money, and working early shifts, even though I knew he didn't favor that. He wanted me to adopt more of a stay-at-home role. I convinced myself that I could adapt, that maybe that's just how things are in our culture. But looking back, I realized I was trying too hard to make it all work. We barely made any progress after that. We hung out again, had sex, maybe went out for dinner, and took a walk. Yet even in those moments, I sensed so many things he kept hidden. It felt like he had this entire inner world to which I wasn't permitted access. And I could sense it, his feelings had changed. He informed me that he was going to travel back to his country. I think we hung out 2 or 3 times before he departed again. I knew we wouldn't be able to talk much, so I asked for something small. I said, "Can you bring me a scarf? Just something simple so I know you thought of me." I also requested, "Even if we don't talk much, even if you are gone for a month, please just text me once every 2 weeks or at least give me one call during your entire vacation." That didn't seem like too much to ask. I remember there was this significant topic we had not discussed in a while: birth control. At the beginning of our relationship, it had been a major issue. Maybe deep down, I sensed that the relationship wouldn't last, so I didn't want to go on it. Plus, I still live with my family, which complicates matters. But yes, I never did it. When he returned to his country, he took a leave from work. He also attends school. He already has a master's degree from there. He is really intelligent. That was never the issue. He wanted to transfer to another university here. He got accepted into a really good one, but it didn't have the best program for what he wanted to study, so he began aiming for an Ivy League school. Things didn't go well. He needed to take some science classes that he hadn't previously completed. Yet I supported him. I always inquired about how his day was, how work was going, how school was progressing, and how his applications were faring. I was genuinely happy when he got into those universities. Then one time I remember he said he went to bed early. His texting had become quite infrequent. He transitioned from calling, texting, saying goodnight, and being present to barely even saying good morning or engaging in proper conversations. Eventually, I just accepted it. We could go 5 or 6 days without talking, and it somehow felt okay. I don't know, maybe that's how normal relationships are. I really don't know. But I recall telling him, "Oh, you slept early so you would have the energy to talk today." He replied that life was hard, school was hard, and work was hard. But even then, it took him about an hour to respond to me. So I stated, "I thought now that you had slept, you would stop finding excuses not to talk to me." He became angry. He interpreted it to mean that I thought his school and work were excuses. When I tried to clarify my meaning, I just felt guiltier. I wasn't suggesting those were excuses. I meant that his way of avoiding talking to me felt like an excuse. Still, he made me feel as if I were gaslighting him, and even though I knew I wasn't, I still felt bad. Afterward, I stopped inquiring about school or how his application process was progressing. I still asked about his classes since he was still taking two, but I emotionally distanced myself. Then he returned from his country in February. We never celebrated a single anniversary, not even Valentine's Day. I remember texting him Happy Valentine's Day, but he didn't respond. I think he might have even blocked me on WhatsApp. We hadn't spoken for an entire month. I began to worry that perhaps something had happened to him, but I didn't push. I was always the first to reach out, consistently the one trying to mend things, and I was weary from it. It was honestly frustrating. When he came back, I was in class when he called me. I showed my friend the call I couldn't answer at that moment. Later, when we spoke, he insisted I was the one who called him, which was true, but only after he had called me. I literally showed my friend when he called, so either we were both confused or he called me by mistake and didn't want to admit it. Anyway, things felt cold, yet I gave him space, especially since a significant holiday was approaching. Then one day he mentioned, "Hey, I think we should break up again." I was furious. I called my friend and vented. When she arrived, I attempted to call him again, and this time he answered. We didn't break up, but later he went to sleep and I was unaware. I assumed he had blocked me again because my messages weren't going through, so I took an Uber to his place. I know it sounds pathetic. I rang the bell. He was glad to see me, but we talked for a short while. I kept telling him that this was toxic, but he seemed fine with it. By the way, he never even got me the scarf, nothing. He gave me chocolate, which I believe he had not intended for me, but I trusted him anyway. That night he drove me home. He enjoys it when I say things like, "I shouldn't be showing up at your house like this." He appreciates that. That was in February. And then until now, January, February, March, April, it has just been a lot. We hung out again and I told him I just want to go on a real date. I anticipated him taking me out. Instead, we had sex again. He didn't even order food this time. He actually cooked. He has this whole notion about how the woman should cook. Whatever. I told him I wouldn't mind cooking for my husband if it's out of love, not because I'm told it's my role. We never acknowledged our anniversaries. Apparently, he believes one only celebrates the first year, second year, and so on. I was unaware of that. I thought one celebrated the first month, then the 6 months, or at least 100 days. Birthdays seemed to be too much for him as well, I suppose. I simply wanted something. We argued frequently about flowers too. I just wanted them. I stopped requesting them. He got upset once and exclaimed, "If I do." We never had deep conversations. Life was tough for him, he said, but there was one occasion when we sat by a fire and genuinely discussed our relationship. It didn't resolve everything, but it was a start. I opened up more than I usually did, and that felt gratifying. This dialogue occurred after we spent some time together post-breakup, and I joked that for someone who claimed to be a terrible boyfriend, I thought we would be going somewhere other than his house again. Then the holidays arrived and we didn't communicate for an entire month. Our conversations had grown, strained, then April came, beautiful April. One night after a month of silence, I texted him, "You are driving me insane. I will end up in a psychiatric ward talking to myself." He replied, "They wouldn't put you there." Somehow our discussion led him to confide, "Oh, I lost my job." I bombarded his phone with messages all night. I longed to call him, but he wasn't a fan of calls, so I refrained. He hung up on me once. It was amusing, but also aggravating. He once proclaimed to me, "You just didn't believe me." I countered, "I believed something was wrong, I just didn't know what it was." He requested space and time. "I am not good for you," he reiterated, just as he had when he broke up with me. Then he added, "Do you wish to marry someone who does not love you?" It had been 4 or 5 months since I last heard "I love you" from him. You would think he would say it when we reconciled, but no, there was nothing. In April, I sent him an extensive message. "I will be here when you are ready, but I will not keep bothering you." One night, missing him, I recorded a 10-minute voice note, deleted it 3 times, and finally sent it at 1:45 a.m. I have mixed emotions about it. I knew it was approaching the end. He responded, "You are a good person." He woke up at 3:00 a.m. and texted me. I was extremely anxious. I thought he was going to say something definitive, like it was genuinely over. But I simply wanted to have a proper conversation. I don't know why, but I have this mindset where I require closure. If something is going to conclude, I want to know it is the end. I suppose it's because I cannot endure uncertainty anymore. Even though the conversation didn't proceed the way I desired, and it meandered all over the place, I was still somewhat glad it happened. I was able to express a lot of things I had been holding in for an extended period. At least this time, I managed to share my perspective on the breakup. That held significance for me. I remember stating something akin to, "It's amusing, I would have stayed with you through the hardest parts of life. All I ever needed was some reassurance. Just to know that I mattered to you. To hear 'I love you,' 'I appreciate you,' 'Thank you for being part of my life.' Or merely some indication that you wish to be with me, that you could open up to me. That is really all I ever required." But yes, the breakup truly affected me. It felt as though I wasn't being heard, and that infuriated me. There are more details, things that felt humiliating, but I won't delve into that now. That conversation, our final one, didn't even conclude in the way I preferred. He simply stated, "Okay, goodbye," and didn't really respond to anything I had said or asked. It felt as if he was just finished. And I know it may sound absurd, but I couldn't bear it. I thought, this is not how it ends. So yes, I announced I was going to come to his house. I realize it was toxic. I am acknowledging it right now, it was toxic. But I did it. I actually went. He wasn't there, however. When he saw my messages, he finally picked up my call. I asked him, "Do you want me to leave?" And he said yes. I pleaded with him. I said, "Can we just see each other for 5 minutes? That's all I wanted, to say goodbye properly." We hadn't seen each other in about 2 months. It just felt surreal to acknowledge our lives might never intersect again. I kept requesting him to give me one good reason, but he wasn't really listening. I waited at the train station for 2 hours. My phone died. I had to ask this woman to borrow hers. She regarded me as if I were attempting to steal it, holding onto the phone as if she believed I would run off with it. It was humiliating. Even the man working at the station approached and inquired, "Are you waiting for a bus or something?" And I responded, "No, I am waiting for someone, my phone died." The entire situation was just a mess. Eventually, I gave up and took the train home, crying the entire way. I felt so humiliated, so messed up. I get it, I probably looked insane, but it stemmed from a place of pain. I just wanted closure. I merely desired to feel acknowledged. On my way home, I felt so humiliated, so deeply low. I understand I likely appeared crazy. I forced that final meetup even though deep down I knew he did not want it. I merely wish that last conversation could have unfolded differently, something calm and respectful, something like, "Hey, I just wanted to say goodbye properly," and then that would be it. No shouting, no chilling silence, just closure. I was aware we would never see each other again after that, and I needed to end things with at least a hint of peace. That is all I desired. I knew that when I opened up and shared everything, from the beginning of the relationship until now, it probably wasn't going to land well. I didn't anticipate him to respond positively, but I still needed to express it. I still needed to attempt. I waited for 2 hours. My phone died. A woman allowed me to borrow hers, and she literally gazed at me as though I was about to snatch it away. I thought, "Are you serious?" All I wanted was 5 minutes. Just to say goodbye, wish him the best, and leave it at that. Perhaps even say something like, "I will see you on Judgment Day," or whatever, just something with some significance. After that, I blocked him. I deleted his number. I removed every photo, every trace. I threw away the belongings he had given me. I am attempting to move on, I truly am. I am unsure if I am doing it correctly, but I am doing what I can. So yes, that is my life at this moment. For advice, I do not know what to do. I am trying to make sense of whatever this was. What should I do? How can I move on? Any opinion is welcome. An outside perspective on this.